So a potential war with Russia, that is what the entire world has been worried about for many years. And now we're starting to see there are more countries potentially going to war with Russia because of what is going on right now. Well, guess what? The United States is involved. Of course, you probably knew it. You probably guessed it. But here's what's happening at this time. There's a lot of discussions regarding the United States' involvement with other countries, giving them weapons, giving them funding, right? Just going up and potentially putting troops on the ground against Russian soldiers. That is where Russia is saying that the United States is at fault. But I want to break down what's going on at this time, explain how the U.S. is involved, and what this could mean moving forward. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So the Russian President Vladimir Putin is warning of terror threats. Look at this. It says Ukraine-Russia war live. Terror threat emerges in Moscow as Putin warns of full-scale war in Europe. It says after decades of neutrality, Sweden have made history by joining NATO. This is a huge concern for Russia. This is a huge concern for the United States because by allowing Sweden to join NATO, it's putting more pressure on the United States. Look at this right here. This is a big one. Biden determined not to deploy U.S. troops to Ukraine as the Chinese delegation meets in Kyiv. President Biden has said that he would provide support, he would provide whatever Ukraine needed. We have sold, millions, billions of dollars in weapons to Ukraine. There's so much stuff that we have provided to Ukraine. The one thing that we have not provided, though, we have not provided troops to fight against Russian soldiers. And what we do not want is the United States military going up against Russia. We don't want that. Not because the U.S. is concerned that we would not be able to take control of the region or fend off Russian troops. The U.S. isn't concerned there. The U.S. is concerned about nuclear war, a nuclear reaction to whatever happens in Ukraine. Again, but a lot of this comes down to NATO now bringing in Sweden. Because look at this. It says with Sweden and NATO, the alliance has new ways to strike Russia's prime targets. That's the concern because of what we just brought into NATO. And Russia knows this. The Russian President Vladimir Putin, he knows this. He knows that there are more concerns now because of this alliance with Sweden. And yes, he is going to push back. You want to know how close Russia has gotten, though? Look at this. It says Russia came within 500 feet of triggering NATO's Article 5. 500 feet. This is how close we've gotten. And based off of reports just recently, we have seen that the Houthis, Yemen Houthis, they got within, I believe, like 50 feet of a Russian ship. They almost downed a Russian ship that would have caused a massive catastrophe with Russia and Yemen. Well, really, Russia and Iran. This war, these conflicts that we continue to see in the Middle East, these aren't stopping. These are going to continue. The concern is it's going to drag more people in. And you may be thinking, it's not going to do that. It's not a big deal. We will be perfectly fine. Let me just give you an example here. We learned that Hamas attacked Israel, attacked these people that were going to a concert, right? Killed 1,000 people. That was a huge problem. And then the worry was Israel was going to respond. And once Israel responded and started bombarding, certain areas of Gaza, taking down, thousands and thousands of properties, all right, buildings, just demolished, they're rubble. And seeing now that there's more than 30,000 people have lost their lives. Some hostages have even lost their lives. According to reports, we still have over 120 hostages, Israeli hostages, in Hamas captivity. Well, here's the thing. that was just the beginning. And then the United States got involved. And then Hezbollah got involved. Iran got involved. The Yemen Houthis got involved, right? All these other places, all these other countries started to get involved. The United States, again, was involved. We sent ships up the Red Sea to ensure that ships could get to their locations safely. Well, that put a lot of pressure on the United States. That put so much pressure on the United States that U.S. troops were actually getting hit. U.S. bases, military bases, were getting hit as well. Okay? This is something that we saw happen very quickly, where just because the United States stepped in and tried to assist, well, we were now a target. So for those saying that, Russia potentially going to war with Europe, with other countries stepping in, and Sweden now joining NATO, it's not that big of an issue. It's a big issue. This is something that could turn into a massive crisis depending on how we play it. So, what does this mean moving forward? Well, here's what I can tell you. Right now, the Biden administration is not 100% concerned. They're not 100% behind sending Ukraine additional funding. This is where things changed, and the reason why things are changing now is because we could potentially help Ukraine win this war against Russia by now going through Sweden, where the United States does not have to be so involved. The issue is, does Sweden decide to do this? I don't know. That I can't tell you. We have not gotten those reports yet. All we know at this time is there's a lot of people speculating that the United States is actually going to pull back, going to do less. We just learned just the other day that the United States sent more weapons to Ukraine. Right? This was something that we were not expecting because, well, why would we send weapons to Ukraine when we have no money? We didn't pass this through Congress. President Biden did this. And so at this time, what we continue to hear is that the United States wants to help Ukraine and is going to help Ukraine, but it may not be by for us to send our taxpayer dollars to Ukraine. Because President Biden has made it very clear, and the White House has made multiple statements, that they do not have congressional approval. We cannot send $60 billion to Ukraine. But what we can do is send funding to other countries, and those countries send assistance to Ukraine. That's what we're seeing at this time. So again, and I bring this up because we saw this with Mexico trying to handle the U.S. southern border immigration crisis, is that the United States went to Mexico, talked with the Mexican president, and pretty much begged, according to reports, Mexico to do more to slow down the migration of people coming up to the U.S. southern border. Well, it worked. It helped. It slowed down the amount of illegal crossings. We were seeing numbers in like the 120,000 range compared to 300,000 back in December. Well, now we're seeing about 7,000 to 8,000 people enter per day just over the last week. So guess what? 7,000 people a day, right? And 30 days in the month or 31 days, whatever it is, right? You can do the math. Over 200,000 people are going to enter into the United States just in March alone. So it's a huge difference. It's a big responsibility, but the United States has been pushing more of the responsibilities over to other countries so that they can do our dirty work for us. Will it work? Well, we're going to find out soon enough. All I can tell you is I will be here every step of the way. I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates, but as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.